on the president's last night's address to the country, in which he eased restrictions on public gatherings. And so in the next 2 minutes, I'll quickly deal with that before I invite our distinguished personalities who will be addressing us on the 2 topics I've already mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the NDC has taken notice of the easing of restrictions on public gatherings by President Akufo-Addo. We are of the firm belief that this decision is mainly intended to pave way for the G-Mensa-led Electoral Commission to carry out its rigging agenda through the execution of their needless and wasteful new voter register agenda. It is very clear that the easing of restrictions was motivated by the president's parochial political interest and not the national interest. The fact that church and mosque gatherings are not supposed to have more than 100 people in attendance and are supposed to last for just an hour. But the NIA and the Electoral Commission have been given the freedom and the carte blanche to register an unlimited number of people from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's 10 hours. Shows clearly that the so-called partial reopening of churches, mosques, and schools was only a ruse to the president's main agenda, which is the new voters register. And let me repeat this for emphasis. The president says that schools and churches, mosques can reopen, but they are not supposed to exceed, for churches and mosques, an attendance of 100 people. And they are not supposed to have services beyond an hour. And yet, in that same address, the president says the NIA and the G-Mensa-led EC can go ahead and register people in this country. They were not limited as to the number of people they can register per day. They were not limited as to the number of people they can gather per day. And they were not limited as to the number of hours they can spend on that needless and useless exercise that has the potential of spreading the coronavirus per day. No limitations or restrictions were imposed on that. That should let you know that register agenda of the G-Mensa-led Electoral Commission. We are appalled by the G-Mensa-led EC's refusal to honor the invitations of the National House of Chiefs, which were intended to promote dialogue on the matter of the EC's entrenched decision to compile a new voters register for the 2020 general elections. Our traditional authorities, Nananom, are key stakeholders in Ghana's peace architecture and have contributed enormously to the peace, stability, and democracy we are enjoying in Ghana today. The refusal of the G-Mensa-led Electoral Commission to honor their invitation is therefore highly disrespectful and an insult to the values and customs of this country and must be condemned by all well-meaning Ghanaians. As we have already stated publicly, the NDC shall employ every legitimate means to stop the EC's attempt to foist on Ghanaians a needless and wasteful new voter register agenda, which is only intended to disenfranchise millions of eligible voters. Thank you very much for your attention. At this stage, I will invite to the podium, after the podium is sanitized, the man who will be addressing us on government's expenditure under its coronavirus alleviation program. Is none other than our ranking member on Parliament's Finance Committee, Honorable Kesil Atoforsen. He will join us here after the podium is sanitized. Thank you very much.
Moja na num shebu nyani to
Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen of the media, you will recall that on the 8th of April 2020, our minister responsible for finance, the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, presented to the plenary of Parliament and subsequently to the Finance Committee what he calls the government coronavirus alleviation program, in other words called the CAP, in which he indicated that government was going to spend an amount of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis to cushion Ghanaians against the socio-economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic. The breakdown of the amount of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis included an allocation of 40 million Ghana cedis for the provision of food packages and hot meals, and an allocation of 40.3 million Ghana cedis to the Ghana National Buffer Stocks Company for the provision of dry foods, to support the vulnerable and the ordinary within our communities in the lockdown areas. Also, an amount of 200 million Ghana cedis was allocated for the provision of water and sanitation, including the mobilization of all tankers, privately owned and publicly owned, to ensure the supply of water to all vulnerable communities within the lockdown areas. Colleagues, these three important allocations amounted to 200.3 million Ghana cedis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, particularly from the media, the lockdown, which was imposed in Accra, Tema, Kaswa, Greater Kumasi, lasted for only 3 weeks, which was lifted subsequently by President Akufo-Addo on the 20th of April 2020. More than a month ago, whereupon government ceased the distribution of hot meals and dry foods in lockdown areas forthwith. Yet to date, government has not provided an information to provide to either Parliament or the general public on how these funds were utilized during the lockdown period for the people of Ghana to know whether or not the intended objectives was actually realized or not. Unfortunately, the low coverage and the haphazard implementation of these interventions during the lockdown period, specifically the distribution of free hot meals and dry foods to the vulnerable, as well as the supply of tankers for water to deprived households, gives some of us cause for concern that these funds were not utilized judiciously by government. This is particularly so as we have cited media reports of state-sponsored COVID relief items meant for the vulnerable being sold in the market by functionaries of the ruling New Patriotic Party in Kumasi and other parts of the country. Indeed, we have in our possession an audio recordings from the Kumasi-based Silver FM in which market women at Tafo Pankrono have confirmed that eggs meant for the vulnerable under the CAP have been diverted and sold in the market by persons associated with certain government functionaries within the area. Colleagues, I will wait at this point and then you can hear from what the Silver FM reported, and then I can come back to you and then make our demands. Thank you. Okay. I'm sure we'll try and make the audio available, but I'll continue whilst the audio is being prepared. And let me say that as a responsible opposition, with the responsibility of protecting the public purse and ensuring the judicious utilization of state resources, The NDC calls on the Auditor General.
From your other phones, I reckon find out of Obama fee. On top of them, cement, Lamecrano, Bukusia Behended, and next family of February. I was the milk of the Minya, and I'm a towing. And I'm cement, or me and a farmer, I'm no more Juma. Into the meeting and you win in tongue of on the way, and then when you know that I had a surprise, a chama phone. But I don't know, catch me. Chama phone now. At the Akan and my Elizia should be uncle and money at them, and I can almost want to. And I'm saying, and as I send a media because you're near Saint Chamay. To family revenue, so only the 2 clampa, when you need 2 and family. I know catch and say, and fancy and so on, made or catch them into walk tongue. Into me, no part of no farmer, my family Cosiano. And I'm a Makuma flame, say me, when I'm seeing me were 5 days of Cosia. I know a singer, not Nanasi, Ayrton Cosia, 10 cities are mouth for poor Gusso, to be. To me, come by, you know. Now I'm out for time and answer. And to call you some say, Mimi by, you know, Mimi come on the cat and Makuma, and yes, my men there told any since said that made me chill with yourself. Now, back at the flame in the idea, didn't it? She said an ass and Charles and Yamano. And then Makuma also can't catch a mouth for. And I say I'm out for one the day who yeah time who near the identity. I'm out for the dinner at me so ye dean could I want to me and Casa, my man to me and Casa. It's me and Casa.
But you mean any war, a Jomo, a Tandy with Jomo. No answer, Cusano, a Cucramosa. This is a bit out of Benny. My men are and with him to Tokusia. No, the man I say, what Tokusia, I say, and Tokusia will give you. To a far no coffee, the Abacofa better, no, the Comawi, no coffee better, no, the Comawi. You can name the question, then you ran me coffee cry out, it's a na, Ugizan is there, Utokusiana, or Tren is there, or Tren is there, Kusiana, a minute they echo with Rizana. If you flash assembly when you're the ambassador, you find 10 months for and or motor. Namzu, and I go mine, I had the Anthony. If I go for the home at Trewom, a arena bar, no more kids, you be a quite say and go motor. No, on my baton will do more 10 to 20. Normal price is there for 140, 150, 160. That's so far 170. Baby.
Thank you very much. It is very sad listening to the audio. Clearly, the least opportunity, even in times of epidemic, functionaries of this administration seize an opportunity to loot and share.
Create, loot, and share. To the extent that market women felt that eggs that was meant to support or cushion the ordinary Ghanaian during difficult times were sent to the market for someone to profit from it is shameful. I think it's something that we all have to come together and condemn it. To the extent that the MC of the area has been fingered, I'm surprised to note that MC is still opposed. For me, we call on His Excellency the President to, as a matter of urgency, take actions against the functionaries of the administration that has been involved in this act. But let me continue by saying that as a responsible opposition with the responsibility of protecting the public purse and ensuring the judicious utilization of state resources, the NDC calls on the Auditor General of Ghana to undertake a special audit into the expenditure of the amount of 280.3 million Ghana cedis that was allocated for the provision of food, water, and sanitation under the Coronavirus Alleviation Program, CAP. Specifically, we are demanding a special audit into the expenditure of the following 3 items. Number 1, we are asking that the amount of 40 million Ghana cedis which was allocated for the procurement and distribution of food packages and hot meals to the vulnerable in the lockdown areas be investigated. We are also calling on the Auditor General that the amount of 40.3 million Ghana cedis which was allocated for the Ghana National Buffer Stocks Company for the procurement and distribution of dry food to the vulnerable in the lockdown areas will also be investigated. Again, we are saying that the amount of 200 million Ghana cedis allocated for the provision of water and sanitation, especially the amount spent on the supply of tankers of water to deprived households, be investigated. This call of ours is anchored on Section 16 of the Audit Service Act 2000, Act 584, which provides the following. And it states that the Auditor General may, in addition to the audit of public accounts, carry out in the public interest such special audits or reviews as he considers necessary, and shall submit report of the audit or review undertaken by him to Parliament. It is in the same spirit of transparency and accountability we call on President Akufo-Addo to direct the trustees of the COVID-19 Trust Fund to provide a report to Ghanaians detailing the total amount of donations we have received so far, who contributed into the fund, and how the amount has been utilized to date. This is, in our view, will boost public confidence in the administration of the funds and encourage more persons and individuals or corporate institutions to donate to the fund to support our collective fight against the coronavirus pandemic. It is important to make the point that we are deeply worried about how the Akufo-Addo government is hiding behind the pandemic situation in the country and engage in reckless borrowings and expenditures, which portends great danger to the country's economy. Particularly, only last week, we found out that the government is printing an amount of 10 billion Ghana cedis through the Bank of Ghana to finance the budget and on the blind side of Parliament, and without any legitimate justification. Indeed, the governor of the Bank of Ghana has confirmed that the first tranche of 5.5 billion Ghana cedis has already been advanced to government, obviously in clear violation of Bank of Ghana's Act 2002 as amended, Act 612, and the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 931. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we have all been witness to the unprecedented level of wasteful expenditures and corruption under the Akufo-Addo government in the last 3.5 years. We all, especially you, the media, owes it a sacred duty to God and country and to demand accountability from the government, particularly and relatively to the expenditure of the huge financial resources we have entrusted into the hands of this government during the coronavirus pandemic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable, for that excellent presentation. For the account stations here, when we are through with all the presentations, I will do a quick summary of the presentations in account language for you, so kindly be patient. Before I introduce our next speaker to deal with our last issue for this briefing, let me acknowledge radio stations across the country who are carrying this event live, who I couldn't acknowledge at the onset. We have Facts 104.3 FM at Bogoso carrying this event live, Best 90.5 FM Bogoso, Empire 102.7 FM Takrade, Sharp FM 106.9 Takrade, Charity 99.9 FM Duyan Kwanta, High Radio 100.3 FM, 103.1 FM Bichim, Swiss 93.7 FM Hu, Global 105.1 FM Hu, Lukusi 96.1 FM, Stellar Radio FM 97.1 Dabala, Winners 104.9 FM Sefi Isam, Akwaba 106.7 FM Sefi Bodi, Max 102.7 FM Inchi, Loom FM Bunkrubu, Scap FM 101.3 Nakpanduri, Tumpani 88.5 FM Nadoli, Radio Wa 92.1 FM Wa, Radio Make 105.5 FM Wa, Golu 91.7 FM at Golu, Home Radio 99.7 FM Wa, Konoba 92.7 FM Sunyane, Jinyame 107.7 FM Sampa, Tai 90.9 FM in Soko, and Sroma 92.1 FM in Krankwanta, Shalom Radio 100.3 FM Brikum, Akina Radio 100.9 FM Techiman, Wenes 98.5 FM Techiman, Fabia 94.7 FM in Kranza, Atobu 101.1 FM Atebubu, Alive 95.9 FM Yeji, and Jima 102.3 FM Yeji. So the presentation you just heard by a ranking member on Parliamentary Finance Committee is simple. Government allocated 280.3 million Ghana cedis for the provision of food, water, and sanitation during the lockdown period to support the vulnerable. Parliament has approved this. The money has been made available to them. They have expended the monies. They ceased the distribution of these items immediately the lockdown was eased more than a month ago. And because this was a special program, a special expenditure, we are calling the Auditor General to launch a special audit into it in line with Section 6 of the Audit Service Act and in line with the principles of probity and accountability that undergirds the 1992 Constitution, especially when we have seen evidence of functionaries of the New Patriotic Party diverting these items and selling it on the market to enrich themselves at the expense of the poor taxpayer. At this stage, ladies and gentlemen, we will look at the failed $1 million per constituency per year promise of President Akufo-Addo and the New Patriotic Party. And to deal with this issue and to help us appreciate how this government has fared in the last 3.5 years relative to the implementation of this promise, to help us appreciate whether government has delivered, is delivering, or has failed to deliver on this promise, is none other than our Minority Chief Whip, Member of Parliament for Asawase constituency, Honorable Muntaka Mubarak, and he will address you after the podium and the microphone is sanitized. Thank you.
They claim we are not in normal time, so you have to be doubly sure of. It's better to get wet than to take Corona home. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, let me say good morning to all of you. Let me start by thanking sincerely our colleagues from the National Office, our communication officer, our communication director, the administrator here, my colleague, Honorable Atufosin. And before I move straight into my part of the presentation today, let me remind all of us, especially the media, that we have a duty to our country, that during a difficult time like this, the pandemic, we have a government that started by borrowing $100 million, which is about averagely 600 million Ghana cedis, drawing his hands into the stabilization fund, pulls 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, making it 1.8 billion. Then the IMF and World Bank gave $1 billion. That is roughly 6 billion Ghana cedis. When you add it to 1.8 billion, that's 7.8 billion. Then now, the real elephant, Bank of Ghana, also advancing 10 billion Ghana cedis. When you put all together, you have 6 billion here, 1.8 there, 7.8, 10 billion. What you are seeing that in this short period of time, our government have chosen to draw its hands all around, including loans, to the tune of 17.8 billion. Almost 18 billion cedis. And they don't want anybody to ask them about accountability. They just don't want. and you are, to those of you who report from Parliament, the lack of Parker and Co. You remember when they came with a 1.2? In fact, the details for the Minister of Finance was one sheet for 1.2 billion. Just one sheet. And tried to use technicalities that, oh, they will go and spend and come and report. How will I play oversight in tracing what you are spending the money on when I don't have the details as the representative of people? They came with a 35 million where they are going to take, 65 from the Accra Development Fund, making it 100. They did not give details. They just gave global headings. Oh, PPEs to hospitals, contact tracing and quarantine, media engagement. That's the kind of headlines I was given. Now you come to the 10 billion. In fact, they just don't want anybody to ask them, how are you spending this money? So you'll not be surprised that what you are hearing, that even X, people could steal X to go and sell in the open market. Colleagues, fellow countrymen, we have a responsibility to our country. We can choose to play ostrich by dipping our head into the sand and pretending that everything is okay. But believe me, the harm of what they are doing will hurt all of us. If not today, it will hurt us tomorrow. We all know how, the scientists will tell you, energy is neither created nor destroyed. So the energy keeps moving from one point to another. So if today we all help by keeping quiet and allow them to mess it, regardless of what happens in the 2020 December election, the consequences of it will haunt all of us. That is why we must demand accountability now. Yes, the Auditor General, you hear them say that he's witch hunting. When he's doing his work, they will say that he's witch hunting. That is just by compliment to Honorable Atufos, and I hope when your question starts coming, Honorable Atufos will provide more details on what is happening on the finances during this COVID. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, you will recall that run up to the 2016 election, we have the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, made a lot of promises, mouth-watering promises, that virtually lured the Ghanaian public into voting them into power. However, since assuming office in 2017, he has virtually failed to fulfill most of the promises. And one such promise was the 419, 1 million per constituency. And colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, for us to place what we are saying in context, I want all of us to listen to them and how they chose their word. First, the president. Your guy is slow. I know many of us have heard this voice, but it's just for the avoidance of doubt that we want you to hear exactly what the words were from both the president and his running mate, then Dr. Baumia.
For instance, this redirection of the capital budget, whereby they say every constituency will get directly a certain amount of money, the equivalent of $1 million, etc. Ghana budget of September, red, leave in November, is that the capital budget, that budget is basically in two parts. You have the current expenditure, then you have the capital expenditure. The provision that has been made for capital expenditure next year is $1.6 billion. That's the provision, the budgetary provision for capital expenditure next year is $1.6 billion. And the AS says, $1.6 billion. You might be using $275 million for next year. Redirect the capital budget, the existing capital budget, redirect it so that we can take $275 million out and remember $1 million per constituency. So that's the origin of it. Now, this is what we're saying. The budgetary allocation that is being made for capital expenditure next year.
So, fellow citizens, the word here that can you just pause it? Just pause it. Pause. The word the president used was direct. Remember the word that the president used was direct transfer. Direct. But let's listen to the vice president too.
Let's listen to them.
Transformation of this country. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is going to bring about a real transformation of this country. After 4 years, you will not recognize. We are going to bring in policies that are going to bring development to our people. Nana Akufo-Addo has said that if you look at this country, the money is there for development, but it stays up, it doesn't come down. The money is there, but it stays up, it doesn't come down. We are going to make sure we bring in a new economic model and make sure the money will come down to our villages for everybody to get that share of the money. So we are going to make sure the money comes down. We are going to take a portion of our development budget to $75 million and make sure we share it to every constituency in Ghana. So Bunkurugu constituency, every year from 2017, every year without fail, you are going to get the equivalent of 40 billion old cities, $1 million for your development. Every year without fail. We have to help farmers. To help farmers, we have to make sure that tractors are available, that fertilizers are affordable, that weedicides are affordable, that there is water to farm. So we are going to make available for every district a mechanization center. There will be tractors that will help farmers to farm. We are going to make sure the cost of fertilizer is down. But most importantly, we are going to make sure every village that needs a dam, we are going to construct a dam for every village that needs a dam. One village, one dam. One village, one dam. One village, one dam. And that is the way we are going to bring up the agricultural sector in this country.
Here, I hope you paid attention to two words that the vice president also used. Whereas the president talked about direct transfer, his vice president, or the current vice president, said the money in this country stays at the top. It doesn't come down. The intention of the 1 million per constituency was to make sure that these monies go down. That's the catchword there, money to go down. And the second thing that he said was that these transfers will be without fail. Every single year, it will be without fail. So, let's look at what has happened so far. Many of us believe them. Many Ghanaians believe them and voted them into power. So the expectation is that each constituency, by now, we are in May, should have received averagely, or should have received $4 million each. Averaging, even if you decide to use an average exchange rate of 5.5 over the period, you will have expected that each constituency will have received approximately about 22 million 22 million Ghana cedis, only by way of this 1 million per constituency, because that's about 5.5 million averagely, so times 4. Now, if you decide to even take this year out because of COVID, your expectation will have been that each constituency by now should have received about 16.5, because 5.5 times 2 is 11 plus, so you have 16.5 million Ghana cedis should have gone to those constituencies. And two, because of the argument of being direct, We all know in this country, we have a lot of agencies of state that are already dealing with constituencies. And in our balance, in our political landscape, anything that you mention constituency, you either pass through the money through the MP, or the MP is even copy, just to know what is going on. So I have a number of examples. If you go to the Ministry of Finance, since President Kufuor, we've had this poverty alleviation. Now it is called SIF. Every year, I know every MP gets a portion goes to a constituency, and every MP is given a copy of the letter for the money to be sent to your district, and you will determine how that money is spent by pointing out to projects how it should be spent. When you go to the GET Fund, Ghana Education Trust Fund, we have a component in the formula that is supposed to go through the MP. It goes to the Municipal Director for Education, but it is the MP who will write a memo to indicate what it should be used within the educational setup. Then you also have the Health Insurance Fund. In the formula, there's a component for constituency that goes to the Municipal Director for Health. But here, it is the MP, together with the Municipal Director for Health, who will determine how it can be used. Then the Common Fund itself, we have a component for the MP, sometimes 5%, sometimes 6%, depending on each year's formula. When this money goes to the district, it is only the memo from the MP that determines how that money will be spent through the district assembly structure. You have the local government ministry that disburses DDF to the districts. And each time these monies are sent, the MP is given a copy. And I stand here to tell you, as a member of Parliament for Aswansi, if you put gun on me, I will not be able to tell you how much of the money had gone to Asokoro-Mompong Municipal Assembly or Aswansi constituency. Yet the intention was, this was 1 million per constituency. Now let's see, over this period, what happened? In 2017, to the ultimate surprise of all of us, the Nana Akufo-Addo government and Bawumia as vice did not send $1 to any of the 275 constituencies. In fact, what they spent time doing was to set up another big corruption center called the Special Initiative Ministry. If you look at, why do I call it corruption center? I mean, we are battling with corruption in our country. And every place we keep, once there's procurement, you need to virtually have an eagle eye to be watching what they are procuring and the cost and all that. You have the Ministry of Local Government that's supposed to deal with the local issues. You have the Ministry of Health that deals with health issues. You have the Ministry of Education that deals with educational issues. And then so many other sectors that deals with this thing. Now you have a ministry that has been set up in 2017. And I call it as a corruption center because you and I were here when the cost of website was estimated to be 800,000 Ghana cedis. You and I were here when the cost of borehole was quoted to be over, come again? 432,000. And all that, and many, many others. In 2017, not a single project was carried in any of the 275 constituencies. And someone will say, where are you getting this information? You know they have to report through their budget every year to Parliament. And just because of time, that I will not be able to maybe project almost all the tables for you to see the sources. But I'll just tell you that if you go and take the budget of 2018, that reports on 2017, and you take budget of 2019, that reports the activities of 2018, in that order, you will get the trend. In 2018 and 19, they did very little. They did very, very little in terms of projects across the country, or across the constituencies. And I'll just show you that a table that shows, and the source of this is the 2020 program-based budget of the Ministry of Special Development Initiative. The total amount of money that they have received over this period is averaging, say, 2.6 billion. That's budget. Then the actual money that have been released is 523 million. Fellow Ghanaians, this is a very sad situation. Because even if you take cumulatively all the money, including this year's projection, the amount of the whole budget, because this year they projected to spend about 1 billion. Forget about all the promises that they made over the years that they've not been able to release. Let's say even under COVID, with all this lofty borrowing, they may be able to fulfill all their releases to the Minister of Special Development of about 1 billion. If you add it to this one, it takes you to about 3.6. When you divide it by 4 over the 275 constituencies, each constituency is getting averagely, in cities, less than 600,000. Meaning it's less than $200,000. Something that was promised, I'm talking about year in, year out, is less than 200,000 US dollars per constituency. That's being so indigenous. I mean, together with everything that they have done, together with the land cruisers that they bought, the offices that they have, the air conditioning that they are blowing, everything, when you put it and divide it across the constituency, you are going to get less than 200,000 per constituency. But when you choose to pick only the capital expenditure, you get the shock. The shock you have is that each constituency gets less than what we call $50,000 over the period. 4-year period. My fellow countrymen, if we choose to hold this government responsible for the things that they have said, let me tell you what will happen. This government wants a second term, and it can fail miserably on its promise. Can you just imagine when it has nothing ahead of it again? May God forbid, if they should win this year's election. Can you imagine how they will execute government projects? When they need you to vote for them again, this is how they are performing. You can imagine if they don't need you for the next election. That's someone's headache, because he will surely not be the candidate. What will happen? This is the reason why we all have to wake up. The amount of 462,979,103 Ghana cedis, which has so far been utilized for development projects, that's skippers, by the Minister of Special Development Initiative, is equivalent to just about 81 million US dollars. Remember, this is the whole 4 years. Even the whole 4 years, what they spent is covering only 81 constituencies out of 275 constituencies. You think that this is a very serious promise that they really intended to fulfill? I don't think so. Ladies and gentlemen, constituting 9.8% of the total, because if you take the 1 million times 275 times 4, you are expected that by now, times 3, because we are taking 2020 out, you will have expected that 825 million US dollars should have gone to constituencies by now. But as we speak, you are seeing the paltry 81 million. Now, this is the most intriguing. Of this 81, they were not direct transfer as the president promised. They did not have to go down as Valmia promised. It still stays in Accra. And you have the ministry. I had a table that I wanted to show because of time, where the ministry says that I'll provide 6 classroom blocks. And for 3 consecutive years, they've not been able to finish 1 block. 1 block, they've not been able to finish. And the data is there. Just take the budget and you see it. They reported it to Parliament. They've not been able to finish 1. They said they would dig 1,000 boreholes. And they've done less than 500. My brother, you think that if this money was sent directly to the constituencies, and each MP, knowing the challenge our people face with water, I can bet you out of 275, maybe those of us in the urban centers where maybe the challenge of water may not be too pronounced, you may have maybe 250 drilling, and maybe 25 people trying to still be dragging their feet. But over the 3-year period, you can be rest assured that every single 275 constituencies, at least, everybody will have drilled at least about 5 boreholes. If you multiply it, that will still give you over 750. Than the 1,000 promised and delivering less than even half of it. Now, let me acknowledge, yes, when they said they will provide 275 ambulances, they were able to provide 307. That's commendable. But let's see, how was it procured? You have a Ministry of Health, and then you have some other ministry that decided that they were going to procure ambulances for Ministry of Health to use. Be frank with your Ministry of Health and its agency, and a newly created Ministry of Special Development, who has the technical capacity to be able to procure ambulances quicker, faster, and a very efficient one. To date, if you are pushing them, show us the details of the cost and what have you. They are still dancing around. They are dancing around. They do not want accountability. That is the challenge with this government. Even where they perform, you want accountability, they want to run away from the core of accountability. You remember the dugouts that they claim they were going to do, what do you call it, dams that will help in dry season farming. Many of you saw it. Many of the dugouts, by the time the dry season came, when it was most needed, didn't have even a bucket of water in them. Some of them were poorly constructed to the extent that one heavy rain, it just broke the dugout, and almost all the water in ran out. You think that MPs over the years, especially our folks, our colleagues from the rural areas, where they are very conversant with digging these their local dams, would dare construct a dam for his people when he knows it cannot keep water? You think that MP will do that? Because he will be held personally accountable when election comes. And this is the challenge that we have. When you say you are going to do this per constituency, then you choose to sit up against your own promise to disburse them from Accra. And sometimes I empathize with my sister and colleague, Honorable Hawa Komse, because what I know for sure, she's just being used as a smokescreen. She's really not in charge, because that's why the thing is centered at the office of the president. And they do what they want to do. And sometimes she also gets to be informed like any of us. Yes, I know because of politicking, if she hears this, she can't say that that's not true, she's in charge. But all those who are working under her knows that it's sad that she's only being used as a smokescreen. She's not really in charge. You remember the tricycles that got vanished in northern region? Up to date, what update has government given us? These are not pins. These are not something that someone can just put in this packet and walk out. Yet whole containers of them were collected, stolen, and we claim we have a national security. We have a Bureau of National Investigation and all the security apparatus, and they claim that up to date, they've not been able to do anything about it. I don't think if these monies were sent directly to the constituencies' accounts, even if resemblance of this will happen, I don't think it will be up to even 5% of what is currently happening. You could just see clearly it is clear waste of state resources. Colleagues, let me also say this. If you look at the amount of money this government have gotten over this 3-year period, for those of us who've been reporting from Parliament, you remember during the period of, since 2010, the oil that we have, we're operating only Jubilee. The only time that we managed to get Tain and Sankofa with this huge gas coming on board were when this government was sworn in. So if you look at the amount of money that they've had, the amount of borrowing that they are doing, I want to believe this is a very interesting platform, and many weeks to come, you'll be hearing from many of my colleagues from sector to sector about the things that are happening. And sometimes people just ask, people keep working out, because sometimes our hope was that if we work out, it will make the media investigate the issue much deeper. Unfortunately, let me say, my fellow countrymen, many of the people that have the conscience of our country seem to be too quiet. I don't know whether people are feeling intimidated. We should remember, when people were holding guns, we spoke, we fought for the right thing to be done. How can we be afraid of people who are holding sticks? People were holding guns, people spoke and fought for what they think is right. Imams, pastors, civil society organizations, these guys are holding sticks, and you think that you are afraid of talking? I don't think sticks hurt more than guns. So please, it is our collective responsibility to do what is right for our country. Don't let it sound like if one government is in power, some civil society then find their voice. But when another government is in power, then all of a sudden, they lose interest in politics, they watch natural geographics, and they lose their voice, and they can no longer know what the truth is. Truth is one, whether it is yesterday, the day before yesterday, today, or tomorrow. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen of the press, the above facts shows clearly that the $1 million per constituency promised by President Nana Addo is largely unfulfilled and monumental failure, as only 9.8% of the promised $820 million in 3 years, we are not even accounting for 2020, in 3 years, has been released between the period of 2017 and 2019. This fact, which exposes the dishonesty of the Nana Addo Bawumia government, applies to almost all the campaign promises of the President Nana Addo and his vice, Dr. Bawumia, and the NPP. We shall demonstrate this fact with disputable evidence in our subsequent briefing. Distinguished friends, talk, they say, is cheap. You can lie your way to power, but the truth will take you back to opposition. President Nana Addo has fallen on the dagger of his own utopian promises, promises which were calculated solely for votes, but never intended to be kept. But the day of accountability is not far, and we have no doubt in our mind that having fallen victim to his grand deception, Ghanaians will kick the insincere president and his vice out of office in the impending 2020 general election, which really is going to be a referendum on his performance as president, and vote for the humble, sincere, visionary John Dramani Mahama to rescue this country from the clutches of this inept, dishonest, and corrupt President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Bawumia government, and restore our country back to the path of truth, development, and true progress. I thank you sincerely for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for that fact-based presentation. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, so the key message of Honorable Muntake's presentation is that the NPP, led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and their running mate, Dr. Bawumia, promised the people of this country in the run-up to the 2016 elections that if elected, they were going to give every constituency an amount of $1 million for developmental projects. The promise was to give this money directly to the 275 constituencies in this country every year. And so if we take out 2020, because the year has not ended, and we assess the status of this promise from 2017 to 2019, that is the last 3 years, we are supposed to see constituencies in this country having benefited from a total of $825 million. That is $275 million times 3 should give you $825 million. Or these 275 constituencies should have benefited from developmental projects equivalent to this amount of $825 million. Honorable Muntaka Mubarak has demonstrated, based on indisputable evidence contained in the 2020 budget that the ministry presented to Parliament, that so far, if you add the amount of money they have spent on the handful of projects they have done in a few constituencies. Projects like warehouses, dugouts, toilets and all that. If you add all that money together, you get $81 million. And if you calculate that, you get 9.8% of the $825 million they were supposed to have spent under the promise so far. Again, he has explained that this $81 million did not even go directly to constituencies, and MPs were not involved in the disbursement of this money or even the choice and execution of projects in their constituencies. But people sat in Accra, inflated contracts to enrich themselves and not for the benefit of the people on the ground. And so this whole $1 million per constituency promise, as we speak today, is a monumental failure. And he made a point that one single agency under the Mahama administration, the Water and Sanitation Agency under the Ministry of Water, Works and Housing, between 2012 to 2016 under President Mahama alone undertook projects that far exceeds the total amount of $81 million this government has spent under the much touted $1 million per constituency promise. And yet we are not all over the place singing slogans and all that because we believe in the job. And so President Akufo-Addo has once again flattered to deceive on this flagship promise. He has failed the people of this country, and we know that come December 7, 2020, he will be kicked out, and the honest, sincere, honest, the honest, humble, visionary John Dramani Mahama will be given another opportunity to restore this country back to the path of development and true progress. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Before we open the floor for questions, we have just 10-15 minutes to the end of this press conference because it's supposed to be very brief. I left out W93.5 FM in Wa, who are carrying this press conference live. Ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, we shall open the floor for questions. If you have any question, you raise up your hand, you tell us your media organization, and you ask your question. We will appreciate it if you can come close to the podium so that, because we have only one microphone, so that the media, the microphones here can pick it. Any question? I know Parker Wilson will definitely have a question, and I can see Kojo of City also trying to move forward here, because I guess he has a question. Parker, so you have a question? Lawyer, can you join me here? With a tissue. Take a tissue with a sanitizer. Yeah. So Parker will come close. Come close. No, come here. Come close. He has to come close to the mic. Come close here so that we can get it.
Good morning. I'm Parker Wilson. I work with Joy FM. And my question is to Honorable Atufosin. I mean, he's the spokesperson on finance in Parliament. And Honorable, the last time we spoke to the Deputy Gender Minister, she told us that they are still called Gender Minister. That is Honorable Freda Prempeh, if I'm right. And she mentioned that the reason why they haven't been able to detail the expenditure for the relief items or the provision of food and other things is basically because they are still collating the figures. As a spokesperson on the finance committee, you are in Parliament, you can trigger some parliamentary procedures to invite him. So I want to find out whether perhaps you're going to trigger some parliamentary procedures to invite him over to answer some of these questions you are raising today.
Thank you. Any other question? Yes, you come here. No, don't hold it. Because of don't stand this way so that we can hear you.
Hello, my name is Ibrahim, Star FM. Honorable Ranking Member, we know the Auditor General audits accounts of public institutions, government agencies, and what have you, which will eventually come before the Public Accounts Committee. Any reason why you've had to call on the Auditor General to undertake this exercise in a special manner, rather than the usual auditing that takes place, report is put together, the agencies are allowed to respond if need be, and then brought to the Public Accounts Committee?
Any question? Ask. No, let them come. Okay, please come.
Komla is my name. I work for TV3. This is to the communication officer. The NDC appears to take, so to speak, an opposing view every other time with any steps that the government takes with regards to the COVID-19. What differently were you expecting the president to have said yesterday?
Oh, thank you. Any other question?
Please. Any other person? Okay.
I'm Kojo from City TV. I want to find out that why wouldn't we wait for the 3 months expiration of the social amenities project, the government support project, the water, free water and then light bill to end before we start calling for accountability?
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. We have 4 questions, and I think that will be all. So, Honorable Ato Forsen has about 3 of that, and then I have 1. So he will deal with the 3 questions. I will come in, answer the question, do a quick summary of all the presentations in Chi within 5 minutes, and then we can call it a day. Thank you. Honorable, let them. Yes, sir.
I hold on my own sanitizer as well. I can't be too sure, can you? Thank you. The first question from Mr. Parker Wallison. Parker, you shouldn't be surprised. This is a government that is very allergic to accountability. They don't want it. Yet, in opposition, they preach accountability. Today, they run away from accountability. For a reason that we all know, that's as a result of corruption. Because anyone who hates accountability is because that person is corrupt. But let me tell you, the government cannot say that after 1 month of spending an amount of 80.3 million Ghana cedis on food alone, they cannot account to the people of Ghana. It can't happen. You've spent 3 weeks, you certainly awarded contracts, you certainly undertook some form of procurement activity, and you are telling me that after 1 month you cannot account to the people of Ghana how you spend that money. That person is certainly allergic to accountability. And certainly, when you see signs like that, it shows there's some corruption activity going on. And probably they are looking at ways to hide those corrupt activities. That is my answer to that question. And then the second point, coming from why the special audit from Star FM. Ibrahim, the Auditor General indeed undertakes some audit of public accounts. That audit has special scope, and it will not give you a detailed scope on expenditures like this. It is only until you request or the Auditor General deems it fit to conduct a special audit that some of the detailed corrupt activities can come out. So we are urging the Auditor General to specifically pay attention to what is happening on this coronavirus alleviation program, the CAP. And then the amount of 1.2 billion that has been allocated. In fact, we have not called for all of the audit yet, because as time goes on, we are aware that 600 million Ghana cedis, they are yet to disburse, so you can't call for audit as yet. But the aspect that relates to the food of 80.3 million, and certainly another part of 200 million Ghana cedis being the water, we strongly believe that they should conduct some form of special audit at this point. And this will lead me to the last question from CCTV. Yes, you are asking why can't we wait? The 40 million Ghana cedis for hot food has already been spent. Again, another 40 million Ghana cedis that was given to the National Buffer Stocks Company has already been spent. Or they have undertaken some form of activities. We are waiting. Government is here to come and tell us that, yes, we allocated them 40 million, but they spent 20 million. We cannot wait until that time. We cannot wait for them to cover their tracks. The audit must be done now. you agree with me that the tankers, particularly the ones that is going to be the expenditure for the tankers, were supposed to be spent, they are going to deliver water to areas during the lockdown period. The lockdown is over after 3 weeks. So why should we wait to end the year or the 3 months? We can't, because obviously the expenditure probably may have been done, the money has been spent, so why are we waiting? And so it's important that we raise some of these concerns. And we want to say that this government shouldn't have even waited for us to come out with a press statement or a press conference or a press briefing before they act. In the interest of transparency and accountability, they should have, after 1 month, come out. We are not only interested in the president's address, but the president should also show some form of accountability that as part of his address, I would have loved if he had come or appeared before the nation and said to us that these are the measures and the amount that you have contributed to date. This is how much we have received from ABCD. Yet he has failed. Unfortunately, oftentimes you hear that an embassy says that we have contributed A, others say have contributed B, but nobody knows what is happening. We want a summation of how much has been contributed. We also want to know who has contributed what, so that at any point in time, I would know that, yes, I have contributed, but for some reason they have deleted my name. That in itself will boost public confidence. And going forward, will encourage people like us to obviously contribute to the program. So we are in Parliament. And let me say this, Honorable Muntaka, thank you. We have asked questions in Parliament. So don't have the impression that Parliament has not acted. We've acted. But because they are allergic to accountability, they come out with their maestro, the Swami Messi, the majority leader, to come out with some form of defense. But you see, this thing does not wash. Facts are sacred, and we are calling for this fact to come out. Thank you.
Even before I deal with my question, let me, on Honorable Atofos's presentation, let me draw your attention to the fact that what we are requesting for is grounded in law. The law provides for that. And that is why Honorable Atofosin referred to Section 16 of the Audit Service Act 2000, Act 584, which reads that the Auditor General may, in addition to the audit of the public accounts, carry out in the public interest such special audits or reviews as he considers necessary, and shall submit reports on the audits or review undertaken by him to Parliament. So the law recognizes the fact that every year the Auditor General audits the public accounts of this country. But the law anticipated that there may be certain times where it may be necessary for the Auditor General to conduct special audits into specific issues and report to Parliament appropriately. The coronavirus alleviation program was not part of government's budget in March this year. It is a special program which has arisen as a result of the unanticipated coronavirus pandemic we have on our hands. And so if we are talking about auditing, this special audit provision under Section 16 of the Audit Service Act is most appropriate for this one. We cannot wait for the year to end before we audit that. And I can force with Team Fita Tiamwanku. If you know you have not stolen any money, you have used money meant for the lockdown has ended about a month ago. Why can't you account for that? It is very important that we stick to that. And to answer my brother Kluche from TV3's question, what were we expecting the president to say? We were expecting the president to prioritize medical science and the health and safety of Ghanaians above his political, parochial, selfish interest. Because you cannot say that the EC and the NIA can go about registering people, they can go about gathering people with no limitation on the number of people they can gather, the number of people they can register, and with no limitation on the amount of time they can spend on such exercises. And when it comes to churches, that one you say, oh, spend only 1 hour. And you cannot have more than 100 people in attendance. Why? It should tell you what the president prioritizes. He prioritizes the NIA and the EC's agenda to compile a new voter register, which has the tendency of disenfranchising millions of people, than issues of safety and issues of health. You understand? So that is our issue. We are yet to comment on the other decisions because the party, at the appropriate time, our technical COVID-19 team is assessing the decision which has been taken on the basis of science and data, and at the appropriate time, we'll be addressing you extensively on the announcements the president has done. We have no difficulty commending the president, where due. Honorable Muntaka Mubarak has done so today. But when they are lying to Ghanaians, when they are giving people a false sense of security, when they are taking decisions like this carte blanche they have given the NIA and the EC to go out there and compile a new register, decisions which have the tendency to endanger lives and spread the deadly coronavirus, it is our responsibility as a responsible opposition to talk about that. And that is what we have done. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Very quickly, for the benefit of our CAN radio stations here, I'll do a quick summary. You know, no central for Yeshia Waha. Yato Yansa Fremo na Enyabone. We ne the Dikaya, ye San Central for Shimuya, Yashen se, Yabayan and Awachibia. Ye the San Shishi we abba because Ohe Amamua, Air Koso Yamamuha, and Mampenia Kufuadwa, Enkoye, Enyeme say, Enyeme Jinsemu. Inti baby Edri, Aka Bosumi Siampa Mayato Abano. Asudie Kesia Dayanso, as the biggest opposition party in this country. Yes, Ghana for say Omonia Yamwanya Yadom no for Manshe and Sebium. Asudie Kesia Dayanso say. The Ekoso Wayamamuha Enkoye Ninano, Brano. Ireswana Wachibia, Yabefremo, Nayanemo, Edihu, Enkomo. And then Yama Munu, Pantin Yato Yansa Fremo. Nanso, and one Adria Wana or Mampeni, a Kufuado by and Chambium, say Tabwa Yadeto, Nipan Shia Muso. As a result of coronavirus, Yarebonia Abaya Memuhano, where ye free ho. And she said, there, easy for NI4. Bit me aqua bonte no makwa kwetwetwe nipa din NI4 bit me akwa check card na so wo cha nipa besa santen no ma ye verification mu de omo se sisi afidie so registration no so IC ba be ye no so ye de nsa be sisi afidie so ma capture your fingerprint wa ma omo kwan se omo timi kokoye sa na no ne ye se ansakra na party ni be ba bonte abeka ho asem no ene ye beka bibi kakra fa ho de ye ka nyina ne se wo hwe sa tabo no mampanyi ye free nhyiamu so na but I see the newspaper and say Obama Quine. Na Jimensa ni EC4. Etimiaye new voters register na opese kiane at all cost. Oye. Now yes also because when him said through that no nipa bebre millions of Ghana for omuni Ghana card ne passport omo NDC strongholds no. Obe disenfranchise omo. Obe yi omo free register ni mo. Se na be ya omo ntimi nto aba ni bi. Na anam so ma netimi awi aba ni mo. But I see na ni so no. Mamo mano en nada ese e sorry ni schools no person obi e masalachi no person obi nti na we take this decision way they done any so they see any so the main objective no is a new voters register na ye nyina so ne se bi o mampanyi si we bi asore we bi masalachi but ye be kwa asore a ma ye mro 100 e na asore ne so ye be kwa ma ye ni more than 1 hour wo ho eno de e ho asem na watwe we mu ye ne mo bedi sankita ho no na ya mama hu ye gina bre e wo ho but de rem ne say in the same vein o mampanyi o say mem asore fo ne nkramufo more than 100 nkuhia na eni so mu hia ma ne bro don hwe ba ko no wa makwan say EC4 ne NI4 de o betimi aye new register NI4 so betimi acha Ghana card I no de on file restrictions be anto number no so on file restriction be anto time so it from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. I get 10 hours. Wama ho kwan so mo betimi ayo mo adwuma. Ena wama ho kwan so say nipa 1000 kra no mo bebo ape so a omo nya social distancing no mo ni precautionary protocols kakra bi so o betimi aye de mo pe. Nti e no kire say enye ya ho bambo ne ya pomuden no mampanyi akufuad ohwe. Because enka ono no ohwe a odu EC4 ne NI4 de no so no. Ko be make sure say ode nhyehyɛ ya papa bi gu akwan mu. Na se mpo opeso omo yes a new register na enwu hia na wa make sure say at the same time no ye bo Ghana for ho ban but we there nam say wasi nkete say about whether ye nim no One Kenatefua NI energy mensa EC be boom at the disenfranchising millions of people omuni Ghana card ne passport. No mu de wiaba ni muntino. Osi omonko no monko ye ade aye nyina yenim se betimi di nsunsu anso bone abre o man no. Eno na ye ka se entwa yie. E kra ya kaso se enra yete areho sembi a ama yesi afem. Ye na nanom atena konwa wo Ghana ha omunyina omuku e friend National House of Chiefs edu tu dwa se omoto omonsa frɛ ye maame gyi mensa ne isi mpanyufo sɛ mente me ho ase ne daara ekoso aba omo new voter register na omo pɛ so omo ye no ebe ya nka omo mra mpanyufo anim ne yensi nkonwa na yensi esi asɛm no izan sɛ mpanyufo se ano baabae ema abato but the aye ya ne sɛ na nanom atena konwa se ye maame gyi mensa ne isi fo abu omo animtia omo ato omo sa frɛ omo mpempi be omo amma omo hu omo ho sɛ omo de omo ho omo ye kabi an kabi nti de omo pɛ no omo bɛyɛ yehu ni sɛ saa de we ye animtia buo kɛse na no so na wose magana fo nyina hu sɛ G-Mensa ne EC4 they have something to hide. They are up to mischief. Sɛ nyɛ saa penyifo so utimu fita atia mo wanku sɛ nananom atena konwa ne penyifo ato wɔn sa afrɛw sɛ de wo bɛyɛ ne bɛkyirem na ɔmomwa na nkitahudie nkɔso between mo ne amanyɔku a adenti na mo bu nananom atena konwa eku a ɔpemso otumfo sɛ tutu ɔkye hene ahemfo akɛse wo Ghana nyina srem baabia eka ho no mubu obosa animtia we it's because say o mariata so say kianeke register na so nimfa so a ebese Ghana sika na disenfranchising millions of people no mo de awia ba anim no eno ano mo de beye ba yeso ya reata so say kianeke over our dead bodies. We will never allow this needless wasteful new voters register to see the light of day. In the anony assembly di kan ya de atodwa de atoso biem eye enensem a your ranking member on the Parliament's Committee on Finance, Honorable Atofos in the Atudra. Ni nyina afa aban dwumadie bi a your friend coronavirus alleviation program. Samobeka ya yareboni ibae aban komrahye bedwam ema mrahye bedwafo ema omo kwan se omutimi fa Ghana sika 1.2 billion cedis e de to aduane nsuo e de boa Ghana fo a omuni bie e wo lockdown area se ne be ya omo ho betimi ahehan omo yen hye so say 1.2 billion cedis no e yesika e free foto a your friend stabilization fund ye oil sika no e bi ne ko ho eno so no e President Mahama aban between 2012 and 2016 and e peto ho e di ja omampanyi Akufo-Addo omo be fa sika yi omo ka say omo de 40 million cedis e equivalent to 400 billion e be che aduane hyehye amahiafo omo de 40.3 e 403 billion cedis e be che aduane ama dry food aduane a yenya no aye amahiafo na 200 million so omo de achensuo a chesensuo no tankers I wo krom omo be mobilize omo ama omo achensuo no kakran e de ama ahiafo e wo krom ha lockdown atwam be 1 month ni but anya de a omo bu sika yi ho akonta bia sika yi so omo je se lockdown period no ena omo be yusu no mo de aboa Ghana for ti se lockdown aso na atwam be bosome a sika ye de ma mo se mo fanche aduane de de ma mo se mo fanche nsuo no adenti na ye mu ho akonta enti de ye ka nyina ne se in line with section 16 of the Audit Service Act no yes Ghana Auditor General say emrane ma ne ho kwan sa say ba special programs like this eni say otwen kra ma afe no so ansa ne yehu sika afa aban panyi bi nsase ne mo animu ya wonhwe na nhwehwe mu pa enkoso ye bisa aban panyufo ko san bibiri wo parliament ba nya de a o mabu ayen ye nya adanse so e kire say nnuane a wo se nkomo de ma ahiafo no tafo pankro no ene miamia bibiri nkran ha ye de ama MPP DCs ene MPP executives ama makwa akoton de dwom ama ene yabo ho adanse a kire mo ha ye be ene mo be chesa evidence ni nyina mama hu se sebi sika ye ka sa ban no fa nche aduane ni nsuo no omo ye ne basabasa ti se ye se ye tena ho kopem sa afe be so a omo ankasa ka omo sen 6 months pe injury time no mo we ya hwe ya ye ni beba ye ho so no ma ye sika ni nyina basa nti Auditor General enye sa special audit no na at least sika ye dem omo for lockdown a ye nim se lockdown etwem no omo use awie no omo mu ho akonta ne kra no eye nsem a ye minority chief whip Honorable Muntaka Mubarak editu dwa ni nyina fa MPP for bo hye omode hye Ghana for se yeto aba ma omo a omo be ye nhyehyɛ ye pa na afi biara constituency se wo Ghana ha omo ye 275 no ba ku bia enya $1 million directly e wo ne constituency e de ayempuntu dwuma ene ye de omampenye kufu ado ne na be de akiri ba womia omanumu asem sem omo ka no 2016 ya bo bia kyerɛ mo e wo ha ye hwehwɛ mu aya ye nyina kyerɛ se mfie miensa 2017 2018 2019 aban betena konwa so yi enya ade abɔhye we omadi so 2017 omanye ho bibia constituency bia ni wo nya $1 million ana wo nya mpuntu nyuma ba kumpo under the $1 million per constituency promise, not even one constituency in 2017, and yet omo share bo say afi bia constituency bia benya $1 million 2018 ni 2019 na ye hwehwɛ mu a kyerɛ sɛ omo ye projects kakra bi toilet warehouse borehole ewo constituencies kakra bi ewo Ghana ha few constituencies spend enya sa projects ni bi enye 275 in 2 years na eno so no wo hwɛ omo ankasa data na wo sesia sika o ma say no on these projects ni nyina no eye be say 462 million Ghana cedis o de ba dollars mu a eye $81 million na kyerɛ sɛ $1 million per constituency e was a kafi bia ye ma constituency bia 275, and therefore in 3 years e was a constituency say wo Ghana he nyina nya $825 million no out of 825 and say only $81 million per and on one kasa si omo de aye adwuma and also a toilet borehole and warehouses kakra bi pe no omo de aye enti wo sese a omo achieve only 9.8% of omo promise na wo ko school abusuafo na 3 years ne so na utwa 9.8%, 9.8 over 100 na kyerɛ wa fail wa di Ghana fo hwamo enti based on their own data, based on facts no, and they are demonstrating said that promise is a failure. The ya wo mu ne sɛ kakra ye o ma ye impu no sɛ nkomo de sika ne ko see constituencies ne so direct na ye adwuma wo sɛ nka ye wo fom eboa ma nnwuma ba ye ma Ghana ma ye wa ne memu anya bi ye ya nka nye ye ya nipa kakra bi atrankan Ministry for Special Development Initiatives ena omo aye projects no boa kakraka e de afa sika ni bibiri e de areche omo ho sika na nko directly to the constituencies, and members of parliament were not even involved in how projects were chosen and how the monies were expended. Now the ayeka to say wo hwe sika aban no assign on this $1 million per constituency ni na okabomu a $81 million na enu sika President Mahama aban aswoye ba ko pe a na ewom ye frɛ no the Community Water Agency under the Ministry of Water, Works and Housing. In 4 years under President Mahama, sika omode ye mpuntu nyuma in constituencies no enu se sika no. In fact, under NDC, Cocoa Board of Onkwa and 2 boreholes nkwa no 2 boreholes 1012. National Security and 2 boreholes nkwa no 2 boreholes 1000. Plus the GMPC here, plus the other state agency here. And yet President Mahama onim se adwuma wo for mutino wamfa mo ne ho asafo hene se $1 million per constituency mo ye masters in sloganeering na mo hye bode de na yato aba ma mo no mo hwe de mo aye $81 million, which is 9.8% of the $825 million you should have given to the 275 constituencies in this country in 3 years. Into near framework de wo ho nyina no ye da mu nyina mo ase se mo aba. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much for coming. We thank all stations across the country who covered this event live. Honorable Atoforsen is still in the building. Honorable Muntaka is still in the building. If you want a one-on-one interview with them, you can see us and they will do an interview with you in the Akan language, or Honorable Atoforsen can speak Fante, Honorable Muntaka can speak Hausa. If you want to speak to them in any of these languages, you are free to do so. Thank you very much for coming.